Hello, everybody. Thank you, Lee, for the introduction. Welcome to the National Conference Virtual Tour.
Hi, I'm Maren Robinson, coming to you straight from Northern Israel. We know you can't come to us today, so we're bringing Israel to you. Welcome to our show, Online Mitzvah Marketplace, Shop Israeli Goods. Here we'll be showcasing the interesting and unique Galilean artisans and their products and making them available to you, both online and by phone. Today, I'm standing in the Jewish National Fund Western Galilee Tourist Center, located in Akko's Shuk, or Marketplace. We're usually teeming with people, places, sounds, and smells, and we're known for our friendliness, our rich history, and some of the best hummus you've ever eaten. We know you can't taste it today, but you can shop, so let's get started.
And hello again, everybody. Thank you very much for joining. I'm delighted and happy to be your guide today. I'm Avi Kamchi, speaking to you from Tel Aviv, Israel. And we'll just embarked, and we actually just landed, and you flew for 11 and a half hours or so from New York all the way to Tel Aviv. But since we are virtualing everything, so there will be a jet lag free tour of the northern coast of Israel. We are going to start at the Ben Gurion International Airport, named after David Ben Gurion, the first Prime Minister of Israel. And then we'll be heading out north along the coastline of Israel. Just a little glimpse of where we are in the region. Israel is actually just around, 1 second, please. Doesn't let me do it. 1 second. Oh. We are here in the eastern part of the Mediterranean Sea. Israel is a tiny, small country right in the size of New Jersey, surrounded by Egypt in the southwest, Jordan on the east, Syria on the northeast, and Lebanon to the very north. A beautiful view of Israel from the eastern part of the Mediterranean from space. Some facts about Israel. Israel was born in 1948 on May 14th, the Declaration of the State of Israel. Right at that night, the War of Independence broke out, which lasted for approximately 9 months. Population of Israel is just about 9.2 million people, out of which we have approximately 74.2 Jews, 21% Arabs, 4.8 others, and out of which we are divided everything into 74.2 Jewish population, 17.8 Muslims, 2% Christians, 1.6 Druze, and 4.4 others, and that's that will conclude the total population. Our journey today will be going from the David Ben Gurion International Airport all the way along the coast. Our first stop will be the city of Caesarea. Then we'll continue up to the mountains of the Carmel, city of Haifa. We'll take a boat ride from Haifa all the way into Akko, up to the area of the border with Lebanon, and then up to the area of Tzfat or Safed, the Hula Valley, Kiryat Shmona, up to the very northern part to the area of the Golan Heights, and we'll end our day at the wineries of the Golan Heights. Our first visit will be the city of Caesarea. By the way, all along the presentation, there are links that you have here. This presentation is going to be being recorded. It will be presented on the website of JNF, so you'll have access to it, and you can come back and listen if you wish, and link and click on the links, and it will take you to the different explanations on the different sites that we're going to be visiting today. Caesarea was the capital of the country during the time of the ruling of King Herod the Great, which was between the 1st and the 2nd century AD. He actually built the largest and the biggest port in the whole area of the Mediterranean. He actually built 2 capitals. First capital was Caesarea, but the real capital was Jerusalem. King Herod the Great was a little bit of a controversial person who built the country. He built Caesarea, he built Masada, he built the Cave of the Patriarchs in Hebron, Sebastia, Jericho, and many other, Herodion, the mountain that was actually built by him, a artificial mountain, and his mausoleum. But because he came from a background of not being from a pure Jewish royal family, he was a constant under fear that somebody will try to remove him from power. But he built the city of Caesarea, and he built this magnificent port with this beautiful theater overlooking the Mediterranean. Actually, it's one of the only theaters in the world that is facing west. And what happened is they took advantage of the fact that the sea breeze will be able to cool down the theater while people are sitting in it. The theater is still in use today, and it became actually one of the ways of when one of the performers will reach a point that he or she will be performing at Caesarea. It means that they hit it, and they are very welcomed in the Israeli music scene. Caesarea was the largest port, as mentioned. King Herod the Great built this gigantic, beautiful city on the shores of the country, with the aqueduct bringing water from the shores of from the foots of Mount Carmel, all the way to into the city. And the theater was to the right. There was a theater, there was an amphitheater, there was a hippodrome for horse racing, and many other things that happened. One of the most important things, the evidence that were found in the city of Caesarea and the excavations that took place shortly after the establishment of the state of Israel and into the future till actually now they're still doing some excavations, and you'll see it in a second. We found this stone, and this stone has seems like a stone, but it has an inscription. But the inscription says to us Tiberium, and then it has part of the words Pontius Pilatus. And Pontius Pilate, who was the governor of Judea, or the Provincia Judea, during the time of the first century AD, or CE, as we call it in Israel, the Common Era. And Pontius Pilate, the importance of this, because Pontius Pilate was the person that trialed Jesus and sent him to be crucified, and they instructed to kill him, and therefore he established the foundation of what's going to happen in the future with the creation of Christianity. These are the excavations that took place, and they just opened a beautiful museum that shows us the history, and it shows a beautiful movie about the life of King Herod and who King Herod was, including the fact that he actually killing his own children and his wife, being afraid that they are the ones who are trying to undermine him and to take over the power. This is the aqueduct, which you can actually see till today on the beach, on the shore of Caesarea. And Caesarea as well is a city that has a very large population of fairly wealthy people who come to live there, and they build their own private houses. And it's a beautiful area with the only golf course that we have in the country. From Caesarea, we'll proceed to the Emek HaShalom farm, which was established in the 60s by two guys who moved to Israel, non-Jewish guys that moved to Israel. Later, one of them converted to Judaism, and both of them died and buried in Israel. And they decided to build this Emek HaShalom farm, which is the Valley of Peace, and with the idea to open it to everybody. It was in the area of Armageddon, or Megiddo, Tel Megiddo, the archaeological site. And you might have seen or read the book, The Source, where you were talking about the different parts of the excavations and the history of Megiddo. The reason why there, because especially according to the Christian belief, this is the site of Armageddon. Armageddon derives from the word Har Megiddo, the mountain of Megiddo, and that's the place where the battle of the end of the days is supposed to be, or considered to be, the place where it will take place, in the heart of the Israel Valley, as this was a meeting point of many roads that came down. Emek HaShalom is this gorgeous valley that you see here. And today, after the two guys, Herman Mentzer and Osef Elisha, he changed his name. to a Hebrew name. One was from Germany, one was from the Czech Republic. After they passed away, they donated it to Israel, and JNF joined in and created this magnificent place known as Lotem, and where they have dedicated it for people who with special needs to be able to come to nature. The guy that you see in the picture here, sitting in the wheelchair, his name is Raz Rotman, and he's the guide of actually guiding the groups that come through Lotem. He actually had a horrible car accident and finished tour guide school while being on a wheelchair. Here another picture of him taking some people around, and then we have all these groups with physically challenged or people with special needs who come to visit Lotem, and they play if they do the olive press house or pressing on grapes and taking a hike and enjoying this gorgeous, the gorgeous mountains of the area of Mount Carmel. Sadly, in 2010, Mount Carmel had a major fire that took place and destroyed major parts of the mountain, of the natural trees that were growing there. I don't know how many of you know, but JNF has been planting trees in Israel for many years, since practically the establishment, the beginning of this previous century. And until now, we've planted over 300 million trees in the tiny small country of Israel. And sadly, this is the picture of the fire that was taking place. And finally, it gotten under control after quite a while. But you can see the area that was destroyed in the fire. And JNF jointly they build this beautiful monument for the memory of the people that were killed, and the monument, a closer look at it from here. One of the idea was to do the Operation Carmel renewal of turning black into green, or from black to green, as you can see. And the Carmel Mountains are turning green, and we are very happy about it. Sadly, a large number of people, over 40 people, died. Majority of them were in a bus that got stuck along the road, and of people who work in the prison in that area. And they were engulfed in the fires, and they could not be saved. The monument was erected in their honor and in their name. We'll proceed from there to the top of Mount Carmel, where we have the Druze family, the Druze community, and the Druze community is a community that was established in Egypt, was kicked out of Egypt, and they migrated to the north, to the area of Lebanon, and settled along between the countries of Lebanon, Israel, and Syria. These are the leaders of the community. They always dress in such a way. They have special clothing, and you have to be a Druze in order to be able to to be able to become a leader, or to be a Druze. You cannot convert to become a Druze, and therefore the community is a very small one. But as you can see, so as you saw in the flag of the Druze, which was the colors, this is the flag of the Druze community. They combine their faith with the state of Israel, and today many of them do military service, and you can see the guy here carrying the Druze flag, and a very loyal community to the state of Israel. They are spread all over the country, especially in the north, I should say, in the area of Mount Carmel, Golan Heights, and in the Galilee. In one of the tours that I guided, I was honored to come and visit this fire station that was built at the village of Usfia on top of Mount Carmel. And while visiting, we took these pictures with the members of the group. Up till now, JNF has donated over 300 fire trucks and fire cars to the country, up to the area of the Galilee, in the area of the Mount Carmel, and especially in the southern part of the country where you're going to be visiting tomorrow. I'd like to invite you to join me and visit a athlete detention camp We're going to watch a short movie or a short video that will be presented to us in honor by Noah, who is the CEO.
Shalom, everyone, and greetings from Israel. My name is Noah Geffen. I'm the Executive Vice Chairman of the Society for Preservation of Israel Heritage Sites, a very proud partner of Jewish National Fund. We are here at Athlete Detention Camp, a camp that tells the story of the immigration to Israel before we even had a state. We are talking about the days of the British Mandate, when it was actually illegal or not allowed to enter our own homeland. Holocaust survivors and Jews from all over the world found themselves locked in this camp. Let's visit the site. We are standing next to the Galilee ship, a flagship project that symbolizes the wonderful collaboration that we have with Jewish National Fund for more than 20 years already. Together with JNF, we brought this boat to Israel, a project that shows everybody how Holocaust survivors and many immigrants came to the land of Israel when it actually was very dangerous and not allowed, thanks to the generosity of many wonderful JNF donors. This is the disinfection barrack, where Holocaust survivors and immigrants who came to Athlete were asked to go inside, take their clothing off, and go into showers. Imagine to yourself how the immigrants felt when they were asked to go inside. One of our recent projects is the C-46 airplane experience, telling the story of the immigration also from Muslim country. In a very heroic operation, late Shlomo Hillel flew to Baghdad in Iraq and brought back for the first time immigrants to Israel by air. This is a wonderful project, and we are working right now together with our shared committee with JNF on many more future plans. We are working on a master plan, and hopefully next time you'll be visiting Israel, you'll be able to see many more developments. We are working to make the site more accessible, more engaging, and more interesting for many more visitors to visit. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, thank you. No, I was actually yesterday at the detention camp with a small group of 19 guests that came, donors who came to visit Israel. I was lucky to be able to guide them. One of the first group I've guided in over a year and a half. And we were at the detention camp and we saw the new airplane, and it's coming up really beautiful. And soon they'll have the presentation with the videos. These are a few pictures of the detention camp. This is a picture of what it looked like before, when actually in 1940, before the establishment of the state, when the British were putting the people in camp. In this picture, we see that men and women are together, but they were actually in two different sections of the area. Idea was the British to keep them separately because they were thinking that if they would be keeping them separately, people will not try to escape from the camp. This is the group of Jews that were saved from Iraq and were brought in, 150 of them that were brought they were saved by this airplane, flown by two American pilots, non-Jewish pilots, who have made an incredible rescue effort to bring the people over. The next stop will be the city of Haifa, the third largest city of Israel, located on top of Mount Carmel, with the second largest port in the country. It's been enlarged now, and they're doing an incredible work to make it into a major port in the country, because it serves the whole northern part of the country. We actually receive goods here and send them over across the country to Jordan, as Jordan does not have access into the Mediterranean. They only have access to the Red Sea, and it saves a lot of money by sending them through by land this way. One of the things about this, one of the most important sites in the city of Haifa are the Baha'i temples. Baha'i temples are located on the slopes of Mount Carmel. It's a religion that was established in Iran in the 18th century, 19th century. Was a threat to the government and to the Islam. So they were kicked out to this remote area of the Ottoman Empire, and they came to Mount Carmel. The tradition says and the belief says that the Messiah will come from the top of Mount Carmel and will bring peace, and will one of the main thoughts in Baha'i faith is that the day that the whole world will believe in the same thing, we will be the world will be a better place, and there will be no more wars. And hopefully that will happen soon. The Baha'i, the son of the Baha'i founder, the son of the Baha'u'llah, is buried in this area, in this building over here with the Golden Dome, and it's a beautiful gardens and beautiful location, and one of the most beautiful sites in the city of Haifa. Haifa always as well holds the Haifa University and the Technion, MIT of Israel, medical school that you can see in the distance here in the Rambam, at the Rambam Hospital. And from Haifa, we will continue and we'll take across the bay to visit the city of Akko. It will take us about a 45 minutes boat ride. It's a beautiful time. This is a beautiful time of the year to do it, because the bay and the sea in the Mediterranean are the quietest out of the whole year. And as we approach the city of Akko, we can see the walls of the city of Akko. These walls were built through different periods, but majority that we see were built during the Ottoman Empire time, and with the beautiful mosques and the beautiful churches, because Akko was considered to be the place where John the Baptist was born. But later it became it was just a misunderstanding, a misreading of the name. But there are many churches in the city that are named after John the Baptist. First stop will be at the Baha'i Gardens in Akko, because Akko and Haifa are both the most important cities for the Baha'i faith. And inside the gardens we have the burial site of the Baha'u'llah, buried right in this building over here. And we can see another picture of the site. And we'll enter we cannot enter the actual burial site or the tomb, because it's only for members of the Baha'i faith. And from there, we'll continue to visit the city of Akko. And the city of Akko has this is the site of the jail, which had a fortress that was built by the Turks and later used by the British as well as a jail, in which in 1947, a group of members of the Irgun broke and allowed 41 Israelis who were kept in jail, or Jews who were kept in jail, and they helped them escape. Another 150 some Arabs that escaped. Many of them were captured later and then hung in the gallows. The story of the break into the Akko jail. But the Akko jail was built on a fortress that is known as the place where the Crusaders lived. And the Mamluks who came from Egypt, when they came, they totally covered everything with debris. And luckily we were able to unearth, and now we have an underground city in Akko that is approximately 1,000 years old. And here we can see some of the Knights' halls and some of the excavations that were done. A fascinating tour, an underground tour of the city of Akko that will bring us out to the market. And we actually have even a tunnel that will lead us, an escape tunnel that will take us to the port of Akko, where during the time of the Crusaders, Akko was the capital of the country, and from where here at some stage, Akko was as well, Jerusalem was as well the capital, but majority of the time it was Akko, and that's how it became the most important city. Today, Akko is a city that is joined by Jews and Arab population. Sadly, on the last riots that we had during the operation of the wall, the recent one in Gaza, there were lots of riots and many of the centers were damaged and destroyed, including the JNF center in the city, which we'll watch a short movie and a presentation about it in a couple of seconds. As we are walking through the city, we'll stop at Khan el-Umdan, which is the inn that was built during the Ottoman Empire with the clock tower. This clock tower you can see in Jaffa as well. And today the Khan is undergoing a renovation, and hopefully it will be opened as a brand new hotel that will be in the heart of the city at the entrance to the port. Should be a fascinating location. Before we head into the JNF center of the Western Galilee, one of the amazing projects that JNF does in the northern part of the country, we will stop at a synagogue that was built in the previous century, in the 50s, in 1950s, by Jews who migrated from Tunisia to the city. It's called Or HaTorah. And what the idea was, they took a building and they converted it into a synagogue. And the whole building, 100% of the building, is covered with mosaics floor. The idea was to convert the synagogue and to make it into, revive the tradition that was in Jewish, in synagogues in ancient times, that the floor and sometimes the walls were covered with the mosaic. So everything you see here is all gorgeous mosaic floors. The floors, the walls, the ceiling, incredible. And now I'd like to welcome you to the Western Galilee Tourist Information Center, a Jewish National Fund project. And I'd like to introduce you to Michal Shiloach Galnur, who is the CEO of the Western Galilee now and runs the beautiful JNF-USA Tourist Information Center in Akko.
Hi everyone, so nice to speak to you. Here I am in Old Akko. You can see behind me the beautiful sea and the old city. I'm looking forward to see you again. We're planning to start our renovations very soon, and can't wait for all of you to come and visit the new renovated JNF Tourist Information in Akko. At the time being, tourism has opened up, especially for Israelis, and all of our Western Galilee now members are doing their best to have lots of tours and workshops and everything we can show and expose in this beautiful region between mountains to sea. We have over 80 members in this really amazing multicultural organization. And as you know, a lot of the products you can also find on our mitzvah market, Shop Israeli Goods. And if you want to shop within Israel and send your loved ones within Israel that you can't visit, you can get on our shop called Taste the Galilee. And hopefully you will all come and visit us soon. Thank you. Shalom.
Thank you, Michal. I met Michal. I saw Michal yesterday. The center is not yet open. It should be still under renovation, but hopefully very soon. One of the projects of the Go Galilee Now and JNF participation is Alto, which is a beautiful dairy farm where all the cheese and the milk and the butter are all made of goat milk, and they will stop there for lunch. And before we head on, and we'll enjoy this delicious cheese and delicious salads and pastas that they make. And before we head on to this town of Shlomi, which is located on the northern part of the country, and not far from Ma'alot, another one of the projects of JNF. And we'll visit in Shlomi, one of the most incredible places in the area, and it's called the Painted House. It's the story of the Yemenite lady who migrated to the country, to Israel in the previous century. We don't really know exactly when, and we don't really know exactly when she was born, but she was married by her parents in Yemen at the age of 10. So she will not be traditionally, it says that so she would not be kidnapped by the different Muslim member or neighbors or gangs that were taking kids to marry them into other religions. She was married to Mr. Zachariah, and her name is Ofra Afia Zachariah. And after her husband passed away, she migrated to Israel. She settled in the city of Shlomi, and she lived there. She wanted to paint, but her husband did not allow her to do it. But after he passed away, she started to paint the house. And this is a picture of them, the husband and the wife. This is Ofra, an incredible woman. Look at her face, because her face will be, you'll see it in a minute on the dolls that she did. And this is one of the things that she did, one of the embroideries. She started painting the house. She started painting the walls, and then she went into the ceilings, and then she ran out of space. So she started painting different fabrics, and she started painting on different pieces of wood, and she started painting dolls, and the dolls have the eyes, her eyes. When she passed away in 2002, this became a museum, and it's an incredible and very inspiring place to visit. From Shlomi, we'll continue to Ma'alot Tarshiha, a short distance away, and they will visit the project, one of the incredible projects of JNF, which is this lake, and the picture here of Russell Robinson with the Mr. and Mrs. Chertoff, the major donors for the project. And we are here at the JNF-USA Waterfall Street, which you can see this amazing waterfall, this street, where the water flows all the way down into the lake. And now they are starting to do a brand new neighborhood that will be built in the outskirts of overlooking the lake, pardon me, and as well hotels and spas that will be built in the area. In another one of those incredible projects of JNF in the Galilee. And they continue on to Rosh Ha-Nikra. Rosh Ha-Nikra is the border between Israel and Lebanon, and it's the head of the grottos, or the site of the grottos. We'll take the cable car down, and we'll visit the grottos that were naturally carved by the sea, and with the connecting tunnels that will allow us to see these magnificent colors of the sea. And actually, sometimes you can take a canoe ride inside if the waters are nice and quiet, like you see in the pictures. If the sea is rough, it's still magnificent and amazing to visit it and to see the splash. Coming out, you can see this gorgeous limestone that was, and that's what allowed the sea to erode the rock and to form these beautiful grottos. Rosh Ha-Nikra is located 205 kilometers from Jerusalem, and about 120 kilometers, which is about 80 miles from Beirut, and about 130 miles from Jerusalem. This is the tunnel that was through which the train used to go up to 1948 from Egypt all the way to Turkey. But obviously now it's closed, and maybe one day in the future, hopefully in the near future, will allow that this train will resume, and they will be able to travel from Israel not only by airplane or boat, but will be able to do it by land as well. Although we can technically do it through Egypt. One of the projects in the Galilee is Buza. Buza is a delicious ice cream that was established by these two guys, a Jewish Israeli guy from Kibbutz Asa, Adam, and then Allah, who is from the Arab village of Tarshiha in the Galilee. Here they are with the previous president of Israel, Reuven Rivlin. And I'd like to introduce you to a short movie that as they just celebrated their 9th year in operation, and it became one of the most popular ice cream parlors in the country.
All right, in other news, while Ben & Jerry's is bowing to BDS in efforts to pressure Israeli policymakers, another ice creamery in Israel is taking the higher road. and the prestigious UN prize-winning Buza, seen celebrating over the weekend in its classic bridge-building style.
So we have our 9th birthday here in Tarshiha, and we're giving ice cream for free.
4 hours of free ice cream, complete with a DJ and balloons. A local shop based in Israel's multicultural Western Galilee region, Buza, which means ice cream in Arabic, celebrating 9 years of business in the community. And co-owners Israeli Jew Adam Ziv and Israeli Arab Ala Switat beaming with gratitude over the public's outpouring of support.
זה ממש ממש מרגש לראות את האנשים שמגיעים ומפרגנים, גם מביאים ציורים של ילדים שציירו לכבוד היום הולדת של בוזה, ואנחנו אומרים להם תודה, כאילו ביום הזה אנחנו כל שנה אומרים תודה לאנשים.
But serving up more than just a good cone, Buza long operating with the dream of bringing people together over their high-quality product. Buza even becoming the first Israeli company to win the UN's Flourish Prize for making the world a better place in 2017. And both owners, Ziv and Switat, crediting the Galilee's intertwining cultures for Buza's success.
הפסיפס האנושי שגר פה, והפסיפס האנושי שבאמת האזור והגליליות שנמצאת המיוחד פה באזור גם.
Of course, the ice cream also playing its part.
The most special thing about Buza is that we are making the best ice cream in Israel. Local and fresh ice cream made from the local raw material and ingredients, and served fresh every day.
Now, meanwhile, speaking of the public's support, Buza also getting a leg up from the Western Galilee Now organization, a small business consortium of about 80 companies operating under the JNF-USA's Go North initiative, and an anonymous JNF-USA donor who's apparently been following Buza's progress for years, footing the bill for this year's birthday party, especially given the emotional roller coaster that this past year and a half has been.
We're very thankful to Jewish National Fund USA that wanted to show the power of ice cream, bringing people together. We've gone through a crazy time between Corona and then the riots in the country and also in the Galilee. But ice cream is stronger than anything, and we're celebrating. We're celebrating life in the Galilee.
Well, hope you enjoy the ice cream, and we'll proceed from there. And time is running out. We are really getting fast and forward. A clock is always a problem in these presentations, but we'll manage. We are heading on to the city of Tzfat, or the city of Safed. Tzfat maybe derives from the word letzapot, to expect the arrival of the Messiah. And after the 1492, after the expulsion of the Jews from the Iberian Peninsula by the Catholic kings Ferdinand and Isabel, many of them, or some of them, migrated to Tzfat, to Jerusalem and to Tzfat, and established a community that and established a community that started the whole idea of Jewish mysticism, Kabbalah, and among them were different rabbis that will visit their synagogues in a couple of seconds. We'll take a walk through the old city of Tzfat. Beautiful, picturesque, very similar to Jerusalem. It looks like Toledo or Girona for those of you who have been to Spain and other major cities. So we have the atmosphere. It's located up at about 2,400 feet above sea level, and the gorgeous courtyards with a lot of artists that came to live in the vicinity. A very romantic walk. The wonderful hotels in one or two in the Tzfat, and if not in the vicinity, we'll visit one of them on the way down from Tzfat. And as we walk down up these stairs, we'll walk into the Ari synagogue, which is the Ashkenazi Ari. He came, and according to the tradition, we don't really know when this synagogue was built, but according to the tradition, this was the area of the apple orchard, and that's where the Ari and his students, went out to welcome the Sabbath every Friday. The magnificent Ark of the Covenant, or Aron Kodesh, that is located in there. And from there, we'll continue to another synagogue. We'll keep a balance. So we'll go to visit the Sephardic synagogue of Rabbi Isaac Abuab, who migrated to Tzfat who actually never made it to Tzfat, but his people came to Tzfat and built a synagogue on his name, in his honor. And in the synagogue, there are 3 arks of the covenant, there are 3 Aronot Kodesh with the bima in the center. And he came from the city of Girona and was one of the leaders in the whole concept of Jewish mysticism and Jewish Kabbalah. Another synagogue is Yosef Karu, who wrote Shulchan Aruch, and he gave the foundations to some of the ways to how to practice things in Judaism. The artist colony with some of the painters that live there. One of the special types of art that we find in Tzfat is the microcalligraphy, and I apologize for the fact that there is a missing L here. But microcalligraphy is all of these hills that you see are all quotations from either Book of Psalms or, like here, the story of Moses splitting the sea. And look at the robe of Moses; it's all made of the chapter of the story of that from there. One of the cute aisles in Tzfat is the story about the woman that was sitting down at the bottom here in her house, and for many years waiting for the Messiah to arrive, and this became the Messiah alley. And the tradition says that when the Messiah will come, before he goes up to Jerusalem, he will walk through this alley. A very cute little story. Obviously, a lot of klezmer music, and the story of the fact that Lecha Dodi was written and recorded and came out of Tzfat, the welcoming of the Sabbath. This descent from there will continue to Mitzpeh Hayamim Hotel, which is a magnificent spa hotel on the slopes of the mountain overlooking the city of Rosh Pina, Sea of Galilee, and the Golan Heights in the distance. And the Rosh Pina is the first city that was established, or to say first town that was established in the Galilee, or in the country altogether, in the 19th century by Jews who came and escaped from the atrocities of Eastern Europe, the pogroms and the attacks on the Jews in that part of the world. Established Rosh Pina. Rosh Pina means the cornerstone for all the villages or the settlements that established in the country, and created and brought to the idea of establishing what we call the partition plan, which we'll talk about in a second. Just to give us an idea, the area of the Galilee, we have Mount Carmel here, which we just visited. This is the area of the fire that took place. And the Galilee, which means Galil, means the district of Gentiles, is divided into 2 sections, the lower Galilee and the upper Galilee. And what separates them is really differences in altitude. Tzfat is located up here, and Rosh Pina is located down here, overlooking the area of the Hula Valley. Just a little bit of the topographical look, and you can see the mountains and the height of it, and the Sea of Galilee, or Lake Kinneret, as we call it in Hebrew, which maybe reminds the harp of David, and that's why it's called Kinor, or Kinarot, a valley of Kinarot. Mount Hermon, the Hula Valley. Hula Valley was a swamp that was dried by members of the community, or pioneers who came to visit it, because it was all swamps in the time of the 19th century, when the Ottoman Empire is falling apart. And today the Hula Valley became not only a very fertile valley, but we kept some of the swamp and we turned it into a beautiful site where over 500 million birds fly over that area in the spring and in the fall. Right now, many of them are flying south to Africa, and you can see the route that they are taking when they are over here. You can see over 500 million birds are flying over here, and it's incredible scenery. And you can see the national bird of Israel, the hoopoe, some pelicans, some cranes, some storks, birds of prey of all sorts, kingfisher, and many of these pictures. I'd like to thank Chet Stein for allowing us to use these photographs that he took. And Chet is actually a major donor of the JNF-USA. One of the most incredible things to do is to come and to take these tractor, special vehicle that takes you. It's open only one side, and the birds, you actually sit down and you look at the birds landing into the lake and eating, and it's unbelievable because they get fed And it's an incredible feeling and scenery. Over here we have the map of the partition plan, and you can see here the area of what happened. If you look on the map on the left-hand side right here, you can see that we are right now in this area. And we have what we call the N settlements, the N-shaped settlement that created this thing that in 1947, when the United Nations vote on the establishment of the State of Israel, as the end of the British mandate comes to an end, they look at these settlements and they decide that based on that, that's how they will do the partition. There will be two states being built here: a Jewish state, which is in the orange section, and an Arab state, which is in the yellow section. And because the majority of the Arabs were living here in the Western Galilee and the Gaza Strip right here. But the results were that since the Arab population did not accept it, the results were that the West Bank, or what's known to us as Judea and Samaria, politically known as the West Bank, became part of the state of the illegal occupation of the state of Jordan of that section, because Jordan was not supposed to be here. Jordan was only supposed to be here after it was established in 1946 by the British and the French. Jerusalem, which is here, was supposed to be an international city. And you can see the map of the State of Israel between the years 1948 to 1967. And you can see the differences between what it was supposed to be and what it became to be. And later, we all know what happened when Israel, after 1967, when Israel tripled its size. Overlooking the Hula Valley we have the Reut Museum, or HaReut, the Commandership Museum, which was a police station that you can see here that was built by the British and handed over to the Arab or to the Lebanese and the Arabs who lived in the Galilee. And 3 battles took place in order to take over that area. And unfortunately, the first and the second were not very successful. And in the second one, we had some major number of people were killed, over 20 people. And it was converted and turned by the help of the JNF into this incredibly emotional and very special museum with the tomb, burial site and tombs for all the people, because when they were found in the third battle, they were found dead in couples trying to help each other, and that's how it became the Commandership Museum. The Iskor, and from there we'll continue a bit further north to Kibbutz Manara, and we'll take the cable car that will take us, which is the steepest one in the world, and it will take us to the city of Kiryat Shmona, and where we established recently the new Margalit startup city, Galil, the Kiryat Shmona, and you can see the JNF logo up here, and it's the food take game changer in the Kiryat Shmona, and the whole area established by Erel Margalit, along with the JNF-USA. And here we have the future upcoming project of JNF, which is the medical center at Kiryat Shmona, because right now the people of Kiryat Shmona, if they need any care, they have to go to the city of Tzfat, which is about a half an hour, 45 minutes. It depends on traffic. But here JNF is doing another one of the project of building this center. From Kiryat Shmona, we'll cross the valley and we'll go to Kibbutz Gonen, and we will visit. Kibbutz Gonen was on the from 1948 was right at the foots of the Golan Heights, and at the foots of the Golan Heights on the border with Syria. And today we have this incredible project that is going to take place there, and which is the GCI Galilee Culinary Institute. And I would like to take the opportunity and to invite Lee Leibovich to come and to speak to us about the Culinary Institute in the Galilee.
Thank you,
Lee,
Avi.
the microphone is yours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Avi. So I just want to give a quick shout out to our amazing Go North, East, and West task forces who are with us tonight. So similar to the Western Galilee and all the great places that we just visited that will help boost tourism and employment, the Upper Eastern Galilee and Kiryat Shmona are also a major focus of JNF's work to help us achieve our vision of moving 300,000 people to the north and turning it into the culinary and food tech capital of the world, and a place Israelis can call home. With the newly opened JNF-USA Margalit Food Tech and Innovation Center on the Greenbound campus, together with the support of the Horowitz-Sussman family, this exciting reality of a vision is coming to life for so many new food tech and innovation startups that will make a global impact. We're also building, as you saw, the new Karas Medical Center in Kiryat Shmona that will greatly improve medical care for the whole region. And of course, we look forward to the opening and the tastings of the Rosenfield School of Culinary Arts at the Galilee Culinary Institute by JNF, which we will now hear an update from our CEO, Nathan Hoffman.
Thank you, Lee. And I'd like to introduce you to Nathan Hoffman, who will speak to us about and tell us about this project.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nathan Hoffman, CEO of the Galilee Culinary Institute by Jewish National Fund. Welcome to the future home of the GCI. So first, I wish everyone could be here with us. We were really excited about having a convention here in Israel and having an event at the GCI, but hopefully we'll have many, many more to come in the future. So I really can't wait for you guys to come visit and come out here in the north of Israel. So I wanted to give everyone a few updates, what we're doing, where we're at, and just give you a glimpse of where we're going. So first, we're still looking to launch October 2022 in the physical location here in Kibbutz Gonen. The next piece is spent so much time on our flagship program. We're really looking to create one of the most unique programs out there in the world. And as we always say, we're not doing things just to be different. We really are focused on the students learning. So something very unique about us is we're really looking to ensure that the student is successful wherever they go in culinary, which is why we focus on entrepreneurship, storytelling, which is social media, branding, and all the things that are necessary and required in today's day and age. So another thing I'm very excited to announce is we just launched our pre-application on August 1st, which again is a huge milestone for us because we are now literally taking applicants, and we've gotten applicants from all over the world, including Egypt and Georgia and Brazil, which is incredible, all through word of mouth through JNF, and it's really, really exciting for me to see all these great people coming through. Another unique aspect is we're getting very close to launching a podcast and some videos. Again, more things just to start to highlight what we're doing here in the north of Israel. So I really can't wait to see you guys here very soon. Thank you so much for your contributions and for your support. This couldn't be done without you. Enjoy the view. See ya.
Thank you, Nathan. And our next activity will be whitewater rafting on the Jordan River. Well, we call it a river. It's really a creek, or it's a very tiny river, but it's the most famous river in the world. And it separates the area of the Hula Valley from the Golan Heights. After I continue, we'll start our ascent to the Golan Heights. And just to remind you and to where we are, again, if you look at the bottom left-hand side here, the Golan Heights is this tiny small territory marked in green between Israel, Lebanon, Syria, and Jordan. It has this D shape, which was populated by some villages up to 1967, mostly farmers, but mostly military people as well. In 1967, Israel took over the Golan Heights as it was attacked by Lebanon, by Syria, Jordan, and Egypt. And we mentioned earlier that Israel tripled its size. And once we got to the Golan Heights, we were able to start to discover what we'll see in a couple of seconds. And that is one of the sources of the Jordan River, known as the Banias or Paneas, which was a major Roman city built in the area dedicated to the idol Pan, a very important site for Christians or for the Christian world, because according to the traditions, is the place where Jesus handed the keys to the church to Peter and told him that he will be the first to build the first church. The waterfall of Banias, which is a magnificent place, obviously flows with a lot of water in the winter, but as the summer approaches, slightly less, but it's flowing all year round. And from there, we'll discontinue our ascent to the Golan Heights. On top of Mount Golan Heights, we have the highest mountain in the country, Mount Hermon, with a ski resort. We're active almost every year. We don't always get lucky. This year it was closed because of Corona. We had a lot of snow. The year before, we had a lot of snow, 2020, but it was closed. This year it was partially open. And from there, we'll descend and continue to the city of Katzrin, which is the major city in the Golan Heights, and beautifully appointed. Houses the Golan Archaeological Museum, which houses the artifacts that were found in the ancient museum of Katzrin. So in the ancient city of Katzrin, which we dedicated, the new one is named after the old one. We found over 27 Jewish synagogues and Jewish villages on the Golan Heights, which with synagogues inside, and in many of them we found these symbols of Judaism, which the menorah. Here it's a 9-branch menorah, which reminds us of Hanukkah. There is a 6-branch menorah and a 7-branch, as it was in the temple. The shofar and the machta, which is the spice shovel that was used in the temple by the priest to put spices on the altar. From there, we'll continue to the Merom Golan, Kibbutz Merom Golan, with a beautiful hotel, and located at the bottom of Mount Bental. Mount Bental is a volcanic mountain, a non-active mountain. But on top of Mount Bental, we have a very special place. We have what we call Mount Bental was an Israeli fortress of the military. After 1967, we changed positions with the Syrians. Up to 1967, they looked down at us from the top of the Golan Heights. And since 1967, we are looking down at them, and we'll see it in a minute. But on top of the mountain, which was a fortress, was later a fortification of the military, was left and was turned into a site to visit, to understand the region. And the members of the kibbutz opened a place called Kofi Annan. Kofi Annan was the Secretary General of the United Nations. But coffee, we all know what coffee is, but Annan in Hebrew is a cloud. So we took the name and we made it into a coffee in the cloud. And that's what happens. Often the mountain, because of its altitude, is covered with clouds. So we'll have a beautiful cup of coffee overlooking the trenches on the fortress, overlooking, this is the coffee shop, with the sign that shows us the distances to the Prime Minister's office, 243 kilometers, Damascus 60, Baghdad 800 in Iraq, Amman in Jordan 135, Haifa 85, and Tiberias about 58 kilometers, and 1.6 kilometer is a mile. And then if we overlook the city of Kuneitra, which was converted into became an area that the Syrians left. And here we have the new city of Kuneitra. And before we come to an end of the day, we'll take you and we'll stop at the Kuneitra crossing, where we have the UN disengagement of forces units that are separating between Israel and maintaining the situation between Israel and Syria. Every 6 months, we gather with the Syrians, and the Israelis, military, and the Syrians officials will sign the renewal of this agreement. And before we end the day, we'll stop at the Chateau Golan, the Golan Heights wineries, and we'll make a little toast with the delicious wines of the Golan Heights, named after Mount Hermon, Yarden, the city of Gamla, the Jewish city of Gamla, the Red Yarden, named after the Jordan River. And I want to thank everybody who enhanced our tour by providing beautiful pictures, wonderful pictures and maps for this presentation. And I want to thank you all for joining me and for listening, and and I will see you again on Thursday, and enjoy the rest of the week.
Thank you, Avi, for staying awake with us at 3 a.m. in Israel. And thank you to everyone else. We hope you enjoyed our trip and that we didn't tire you out too much. Just remember, our trip continues tomorrow from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern and 4 to 5 Pacific as we travel down south to the northern Negev, the Arava, and the Gaza envelope. Just use the same link you signed on with today. It's going to be hot, so don't forget your hats. Good night.
Good night, and thank you very much, everybody.